morning fog curled like breath around the trees, softening the outline of the quiet village of Oguntade. The rooster's crow rang out over dew-drenched earth, and the village stirred slowly as it did every morning. In a small mould brick house on the edge of the cassava fields, Lola tied a wrapper tightly around her waist and stepped outside with a basket balanced on her hip. Her hands were rough from years of helping her mother on the farm, yet her eyes held a kind of wonder that not even the hardest season could erase. She was 23 yet had never known a life beyond the dirt road and market square of Oguntade. Her dreams had always been quiet ones, a good harvest, a healthy mother, and someday maybe a love that didn't feel like a distant song. That day began like any other until the dust trail appeared. A convoy of trucks rumbled in from the highway, flattening the grasses and scattering goats. Children abandoned their slingshots and followed the vehicles with wide eyes. Word spread quickly. Soldiers are coming. The government has posted security to protect the area. From her place in the field, Lola stood still, the wind tugging at her scarf. She watched as men in camouflage jumped down and began setting up a base just outside the village. Most faces blurred into the bustle, except one. He stood tall, with skin the color of roasted kola, and a gaze that scanned the village like he was trying to remember something he hadn't yet seen. His name was Wale, a 26-year-old officer with a reputation that hadn't arrived with him but soon would. He was calm, deliberate, and carried a weight behind his eyes that spoke of battles fought far from this quiet place. That evening, when the sun folded itself into the hills, Lola found herself walking past the new base with a basket of yam. Her eyes met his just briefly as he leaned against a tree, helmet at his side. He nodded. She looked away, but the wind shifted, and in that moment something changed. Lola didn't mean to see him again so soon, but fate, or whatever invisible hand moved life in Oguntade, had other plans. 3 days after the soldiers arrived, the village's water pump broke. It wasn't the first time. It had been groaning for months. But this time, it stopped entirely, forcing villagers to draw water from the far stream beyond the tall palms. It was on the narrow footpath to the stream that she saw him again. Wale, stripped of his former stiffness, carried a jerrycan like any other man. His uniform shirt was slung over his shoulder, revealing arms stout with strength and marred by faint scars. Not just the kind left by weapons, but the kind left by life. Their eyes met again.
"You fetch water too?"
she asked before she could stop herself. He looked at her, a half smile hugging at one side of his lips. A soldier still needs to bathe and drink. His Yoruba was polished but deep in the accent of a man who had known cities. Lagos, maybe, or Abuja. It made him sound like a visitor. Yet there was something in his eyes that matched the village skies. Tired, quiet, familiar. "And you?" he asked. "Do you always walk alone?" Lola blinked.
"It's safer than carrying 2 loads. My mother says I'm too stubborn to wait for help."
Wale chuckled. She's probably right. They walked in silence after that. Just two strangers bound by the rhythm of footsteps and rushing water. At the stream, he offered to help fill a container. She let him, watching how he crouched, how he didn't complain when his boots sank in the mud. "Thank you," she said softly. He looked at her, truly looked this time. "What's your name?"
"Nola."
He nodded. "I am Wale." She already knew. Later that night, as she peeled cassava beside her mother, her thoughts drifted. She could still hear the way he said her name, like a question he hoped had a beautiful answer. And Wale, alone in his temporary bunk, stared at the palm roof and thought of her voice, her stillness, and how for the first time in years he hadn't thought of war. But peace has its own battles, and love in places like Oguntade is a slow fire, patient but impossible to put out.